Welcome to Soundbreaker. In today's episode, we're talking to Chris Taylor, who is the founder and owner of Hall of Fame Artists. Chris, thank you for joining us today. And for all listeners who might not be familiar with you, if you can give us a bit of a background and introduce yourself, and definitely we're going to dive into it. You had an impressive, amazing journey so far. A lot to talk about and a lot to look forward to. Please.
Thanks, Bob. Yeah, I mean, as an intro, I'm a Canadian. I lived in Canada up until 2016. I was a professional recording musician from 90 to 95, and then started practicing law, representing recording artists in 97. So from 97 to 2016, represented lots of recording artists. And then in 2016, sold my law practice and my music company to Entertainment One, and became a music executive for Entertainment One, running the music division there.
Amazing. Well, the music company, was it a record label also?
With Entertainment One.
Yeah,
Yes.
before you sold it to, because you had your practice and you had your record label, I should say.
Yeah, I started a record label called Last Gang in 2004
Uh-huh.
with a band called Metric, who's still out there touring and putting out records. Electronic alternative artists. So started that in 2004 and signed Metric, Death from Above, Crystal Castles, and Mother Mother. Those were sort of the four first
Hmm.
signings there
Amazing.
while I was practicing as an attorney as well. So that was something that was supposed to start as an art project or a hobby,
It
ended up
became a record
turning into
label.
a business itself.
Yes.
Yeah,
And you end up selling it, profiting from it. I mean, you had some interesting artists on it. So you sold
yeah,
Last Gang. Yes.
yeah. In 2016, I joined Entertainment One to run the music division. And part of that deal was the acquisition of Last Gang. So Last Gang rolled into Entertainment One, which is now Monarch Music Group.
So Last Gang turned to Monarchy or Monarch
Last
Music
Gang
Group.
still exists as an imprint
Hmm.
under the Monarch Music Group
Hmm.
website, and still signing artists and putting records out. But it's part of a larger company now.
Chris, to take you back a bit, even a little bit more than when you started, your law practice and part of you were an recording artist. What really drove you to kind of carve this path? Say, you know what, this is the path I want. Mom, dad, this is what I wanted back. What was the
Yeah,
influence? Your mom, your dad, or just the love for music, or you being just wanted to be an artist?
yeah. I mean, you mentioned my mom and my dad. My mom had music on in the house all the time,
Huh?
from sun up to sundown. So fell in love with music through her, I think. My parents actually were country dance instructors
Mm.
in Windsor, which is where I grew up. So big music fans and very supportive of my journey. I went to law school. I was always
Mm.
playing in bands. I loved music, loved performing. Also loved the curation part of it. Always loved finding new artists and playing it for my friends. Being like, hey, listen to this band, The Clash. Listen to these groups that you've maybe never heard of before. So that part of it was always attractive to me. And then as a performer, all through high school, university, law school, I was always playing in bands,
Hmm.
and wanted to be a professional recording artist. And was able to do that. When I finished law school, started performing in my group, which was called One. We did a record deal with Virgin and toured all over North America. Always
So
being in and around music, knowing in the back of my mind, I had a law degree. I liked the business side of music as
what
well as
drove
the
you to
creative
go to
part.
law school? Or that was the condition for your parents? Hey, you want to pursue the music business, you want to be an artist, you need to have a degree. You got to go to law school. So is that what was the thing, or just you really like what drove you? Can because it's kind of two different directions. But yes,
Yeah, I'll tell
music.
you the I was involved in involved in politics. My father was worked at General Motors, was part of UAW, part of the union. I grew up as I was actually what was I? I was the leader of the NDP youth
Hmm.
on campus at the University of Windsor, and I thought I wanted to be the Prime Minister of Canada. And
Okay.
I did poli sci at university. I liked politics. Realized all the prime ministers, or a lot of them anyway, had been lawyers, formerly lawyers, legislators. Um,
Yes.
so thought, okay, I'm going to go to law school. If I can go to law school, then maybe I can be an MP or something like that, and then be the prime minister of Canada. But somewhere in the middle of law school, that plan changed. Somewhere
Interesting.
in the middle of law school. So in the middle of law school, actually, some of my old bandmates said, "Listen, why don't we put the band back together?" I think I realized in order to be prime minister, I was going to have to learn French, and that wasn't going to happen. I'm not great with languages, and then also, still had a longing to perform, write music, and pursue that path. So we put a band together in the middle of law school. And
Hmm.
by the end of law school, that band was selling out clubs in Toronto. So we were kind of on our way. So as opposed to, the rest of my law school classmates who went on to pursue their legal profession, I got in a van with 9 other guys and started driving around North America
Wow.
nonstop. So that's what I did from 90 to 95. And while I'm in the band, I know I have a law degree. I do
Hmm.
like I was, one of the guys in the band that would deal with managers and
Who
agents and
understood
record
the whole
companies.
shebang about it? Yes. Whereas a lot of
Yeah,
artists don't understand the music business, or at least the legalities of it, the publishing, the master rights, and all of that.
yeah, and I would say even I certainly didn't understand it at that point either, but I was reading books about it and learning along the way. That was my apprenticeship, was being
Hmm.
in that band for 5 years and learning about the basics of the business.
Hmm.
So by the time I quit playing in that band, it would have been around 95. I went back. I was like, okay, I've got the music experience. I have my law degree. I'm going to be. I realized by then it's like, oh, wait a minute. There's lawyers who represent recording artists. That's a pathway
Hmm.
for me, and I started pursuing that in '97.
And then you started your own label also, and wasn't that too much, a bit too much, having a label, try to understand distribution and set up the distribution and worry about the billing and the collection, manufacturing. You got in at a time where it's still physical, it wasn't digital. So there was shipping, warehousing, and all of the stuff that comes with it, owning a record label.
Not to mention Napster, which was
Yes.
upon us at the time
Yes.
too. So I
Yes.
started practicing in '97. I started. I was a deal shopper, so I would take CDs at the time. I take my CD wallet and I'd go to New York and Los
Yeah.
Angeles and play Canadian demos for people. So I did that for Nelly Furtado, Sum 41, lots of Canadian recording artists I was getting record deals for in the early 2000s. At the time, I was also shopping a group called Metric, which was a Canadian group. I would actually stay at their place in Williamsburg,
Yeah.
and they were friends first, but then started shopping their records as well because I really believed in them. And I couldn't find them a record deal after about 5 or 6 years of trying, we decided to start a record label ourselves. And at the time, I was going to do that all by myself until I had a fortuitous meeting with my eventual partner, Donald Tarleton, who's a
Yes.
concert promoter out of Montreal. And he laughed at my naivety around all of it. He said, "Listen, there's some of the things you mentioned. You don't know how to do royalties. You don't have any marketing people. You don't have any distribution. You don't have any funding. There's a lot of things you need that I have. Why don't we partner on this together? We'll release this Metric record and see how it goes." So we released that first Metric album in 2004, and I was practicing at the time,
Hmm.
but Metric took a while to get going, but eventually it got going. Then we signed a group called Death from Above, 1979, and that actually went pretty fast out of the gate. And then we signed a group called Crystal Castles, which took a minute. But in that sort of 2004 to 2007 period, we had 3 or 4 artists that did really well off the back of the label while I had the law practice going as well. So it was kind of both of those were moving ahead in tandem in and around that time.
Fast forward to you being bought out by and hired also by E1, then the sale of Hasbro between E1 and Hasbro, and then the split of the music division. What was some of the challenges that you came across when you ran Monarch, and some of the most interesting thing that you came across because Monarch was a big thing for you, running the whole division of the music. Literally, you were the head of it. And tell us about that experience and some of the challenges and some of the, I would say, the exciting things that you came across and you'd done.
Yeah, I think some of the exciting aspects and where I saw the opportunity, the founder and CEO of that business is a guy by the name of Darren Troop, who's an inspiration
Yes.
to sort of work under and be mentored by. A real music fan, but he was running film and TV, family and brands business. Music was really a small part, but I could see he had a passion to kind of reignite the music business. Because understand in 2016, I mean, I call that the Napster winter. You know,
Yeah.
from 2000 to about 2016, the music business was in disarray, you know,
Yes.
treading water. But I saw that as an opportunity. You know, join this company as Spotify is really starting to take hold, working under Darren, who had a real vision and a passion to grow the business.
Hmm.
That was what I saw as an opportunity. The challenge was, you know, historically, it was a very physical, a business that was very oriented in the physical world. We
Hmm.
had a warehouse the size of two football stadiums
Hmm.
out in Port Washington, and we were very focused on making, shipping, and billing on CDs, physical goods, which at that time the revenue on physical was going like this and the costs were going like this.
Yes. Correct.
So
Yes.
we did have to do some reorganizing and pivot that business from a physical business to a digital business, which did mean people at the time, you know, lost their jobs and were replaced as we kind of moved the business in a new direction. So that was, I'd say, that was probably the most challenging and difficult part of that.
Hmm.
I think the other challenges, you know, we mentioned offline before we started. We did go
Yes.
into it's like Darren told me when I joined E1. He said, "Listen, we're for sale every day. We're a public company, so somebody could buy the business and have another plan for what we want to do with the music business." And that happened in 2019. Hasbro bought Entertainment One for a reported $4 billion, which brought us in under a larger organization who had a different plan for the music business. All of that was going to be fine, though. You know, there's lots of opportunity for music within the Hasbro universe and
Hmm.
the E1 music universe as it relates to film and TV content,
Yeah.
music for commercials, music in Dungeons and Dragons, music in Power Rangers, music in My Little Pony. You know, we were working really across the verticals in that business until COVID happened. You know, COVID kind of, as everybody knows, took
Change the
hold
landscape of a lot of
in
things. Yeah.
March, and then everybody got really nervous. Hasbro elected at that time to put the music business up for sale, and we ended up selling in April 2021, and that was really the genesis of the name change. That's
Hmm.
how we become Monarch Music Group, which is really the Entertainment One music division that ported over to new ownership and was
Hmm.
renamed, I think, in October 2022.
Got it. Got it. Very interesting. Fast forward 2024. Let's talk about your new venture, Chris. Really interesting. Hall of Fame artist. What drove you to do it? What's behind it and your vision? And what are you looking to change and disrupt?
Yeah, it was an opportunity. It's like we've said. Over the 8 year period at Entertainment One, we sold to Hasbro, we sold to Blackstone, and it was just
Yes.
a different plan. It just wasn't my plan anymore, and I appreciate other people have other plans on what they want to do going forward. Personally, I wanted to be closer again to film and TV. It's a passionate area for myself where music and film and TV intersect. And there was an opportunity to take the management division with me. So we had a very amicable parting of ways. I still have a lot of friends that are over there and talk to them all the time, and we're collaborating on a number of things. But now I'm able to, I have my own ship, my own bus, that I'm driving with our roster and managers. And we're going to build the company brick by brick, build a really exciting place for artists and people to work at.
You've done it before, so it's not a big, it's not a hard thing to do. You've done it. You have the formula and you have the drive and the vision, obviously. Tell us more about it. Also, like what are you looking to accomplish in the next year for Hall of Fame artists? What was your plan on it? Is it something you're able to talk about? If it's you have other
Yeah,
partners,
I got.
it's okay.
Yeah, I'm free to talk about some of it. I mean, part one would be looking at our current roster and helping
Yes,
those artists blossom and grow, into the stadium and arena touring acts of tomorrow. There are a number of managers, other managers that I'm speaking to who are sort of longtime friends that will join us as well. So we'll scale that way by adding a few other managers, not a ton, but a handful. And then looking to do recording and publishing. We're in the process of signing our first two artists to the recording division currently. And
you
then
just can't
also
get away with it. You can't get away from it. You can't get
it's
it from distribution and artists and it's in your blood. It's in your DNA. You know.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah. Are you doing your own distribution, or you also part of Monarch?
We're going to do. We'll have third party distribution with someone. We're in the process of
Uh huh.
finalizing
Okay.
that now too.
Okay. Congrats. Anything that you could talk
Yeah.
about, mention on the show, or not really, not
I
yet.
mean, we're talking to a couple different companies currently, so I probably shouldn't.
It's okay.
But we'll let you know
But a
once it
lot
gets
of positive
finalized.
things on the horizon. A lot of positive things
Yeah,
on the horizon. I
yeah,
see.
yeah.
Amazing. Chris, looking back, you had an interesting journey. You've been in the music business. You've seen it. You performed. You've been in the other side, being a lawyer and attorney, and the laws and the changes and all of that. What do you think of the music business now? It feels like it's at a crossroad right now. And I'm not talking about AI and generative AI. To me, this is just a technology that's going to be here and it's going to expand to more. It depends how we use it. But the business in general, streaming, distribution, aggregation, nothing stays forever. You've been in it. I've been in the music business for a long time. We've been through the physical era. Nobody thought this massive retail spaces, warehouses, factories, printing companies, it's shipping companies, so connected. They had so many moving parts in the music business back in the day in the physical era, and then we transferred to the digital era. And obviously, the digital era will advance to something else. Some of it might say, it's going to be more experiential music, more adaptive, streaming platform, they control it, but it will change. What's your point of view on it? I mean, you've seen it. I'm sure sometimes you'll see some of the writing on the wall, your own ideas, you meet a lot of people, you hear things. I would love to hear from you, a man who been in the business for a long time, seen it all. What's your
Yeah,
take on it?
well, I think first and foremost, I don't think there's ever been a better time to be an independent entrepreneur that's well resourced in the music business. I think the major record companies are a part of the business, but there's more opportunity in the independent sector than there ever has been before. And
Hmm.
there's, numerous examples of that, currently of people building very successful independent companies because of the way retail has changed, from the physical to the digital environment. There's unlimited shelf space. The
Correct.
way radio is certainly an important driver for sales and streaming, but it's much reduced in terms of importance. Overall, the playing field has
Yes.
become leveled
Yes.
somewhat, because of that. There's all kinds of different avenues and ways for artists to get their music out into the world. So I think a tremendous opportunity. I do think, part of my thesis with the management division as well is that the power and the opportunity is more with managers than it ever has been. You
Hmm.
see great management companies like Crush and Red Light and Frontline, that are out there building incredible business. Scooter Braun, people that are out there building incredible businesses for themselves from a management first position. I think there's incredible opportunity out there for people who are set up the right way.
Interesting. Any advice for entrepreneurs like yourself who want to carve their path in life to be in the music business? And after they watch this interview on Soundbreaker with Chris Taylor, they're going to get inspired. It's like, wow, he done it. Look at the avenues, what he went through. And he got his education. He done this. He done it all. And any advice?
I really benefited from partnership over the
Hmm.
years. We mentioned Donald Charlton, off the top. If I had tried to build that label and keep it all to myself, it just wouldn't have been as successful as it was. Ultimately, I wouldn't have learned as much. I had a very important partnership in my law firm career with former lawyer now Fred Davis and his firm. That was incredible in terms of learning and mentorship and introductions along the way. So I do speak, you do, because you're able to do a lot more on your own today. I think younger executives coming into the business are often reluctant to share or partner with people who may have more resources or more experience. But I would dissuade young executives from that. Take a
Hmm.
look at people that have done it over and over again, people that you can trust, partner with them, and learn and build your businesses that way. Because I do think uh, sometimes when people are looking a little too short term on the outcomes, they miss the bigger picture. And I've really benefited from that.
So collaboration is what you're saying. At the end of the day, is really important and essential in the music business, in the music industry.
Collaboration, trust.
Yes, trust. Yes, Chris. What's next for Chris Taylor, and what's next for Hall of Fame artists?
Some of the things I alluded to earlier were really, spending every day thinking about the artists across the roster, helping the individual managers with their plans, putting them into place to win, building up the recording and publishing side of what we're doing. We're going to do that artist by artist and build that side of our business. So it's been great. I wake up every day energized. There's not enough hours in the day to do it all, but I'm doing what I love. I'm in the middle of music every day. It's a beautiful thing.
I'm surprised after all of this, what you've been through and your experience, you didn't decide to kind of hang the gloves for a while. It's like, I'm going to hang
Mm.
him for a minute, take a break. You just keep going. Really, what inspires you just to keep going and to stay positive and wake up and come up with ideas and ventures? Uh, some people say, you know what, I'm just going to go and sail into the sunset. That's it.
You
But
know, it's being around. I pinch myself every day in this job. I can't believe it's a job. It's like,
yes,
how is, listening to music? How is that a job? I have to listen to a new album from an artist and they want to hear my thoughts. what do you think the best songs are? What do you think of
Yes.
this mix? I never, I'm a guy from Windsor, Ontario, that grew up with great parents, but we didn't work in the music business. We didn't have any lawyers in our family. How did I end up here? I don't take that for granted. I love every day of it.
Well, your passion, your drive, and your vision has a lot to do with it, and your mindset. Amazing. Well, definitely, you're extremely inspiring, my friend. Chris, and you inspired me, and I'm sure our viewers and listeners in Soundbreaker, when they watch this episode, will be extremely inspired, and they'll reach out to you probably on LinkedIn. Chris, I want to thank you for joining us today, and this concludes today's episode of Soundbreaker. Please make sure to follow us and stay tuned for a new episode. Again, like Chris said, be inspired, be happy, and pinch yourself. Be passionate. I think my opinion, why he's successful and he's continued to succeed and build and go forward, because he's passionate. He loves what he does. And the most important thing, he loved what he does. I'll say it again. And that's really the main driver of any successful business, especially the music business.
Thanks,
Chris,
Bob.
thanks again, my friend. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Okay.
If you enjoyed today's episode, make sure to share the Soundbreaker podcast. And if you are joining us on YouTube, please like this video and subscribe to the channel. Until next time.